corruption.
This week's Profile in Corruption is a gentleman who has been discussed on the No Uncertain Terms podcast before. Arkansas Senator John Woods was elected to the Arkansas State House in 2007 and was term limited out of office in 2013. He immediately ran for the Arkansas Senate, where he served only one four-year term before leaving the Senate to join the Orange Jumpsuit Caucus in 2017. Senator Woods was found guilty of 15 federal counts as ringleader of a scheme involving the president of Ecclesia College in Springdale, Arkansas, where Woods lives. Specifically, Woods and his gang were convicted of soliciting and accepting kickbacks as a reward for the funneling of government funds in the college's direction. He was found guilty of conspiracy to commit mail fraud, 12 counts of wire fraud, and money laundering. And now Woods was sentenced to 220 months in federal prison and ordered to pay $1.6 million in restitution. Crimes of this nature are so common amongst career politicians, so many of whom are corrupted by the hubris and opportunity that come with long tenure and the lack of competitive elections. It should not be surprising that Senator John Woods was an active opponent of term limits, but it is nonetheless still shocking how passionate and how brazen was his animosity towards this voter-approved reform that restrained his vicious appetites. Woods was the author of the Arkansas Elected Officials Ethics, Transparency, and Financial Reform Act of 2014, the primary aim of which was to gut term limits in Arkansas. Now note, the title does not mention term limits. No, that provision was buried deep in the text of the document beneath some other feel-good ethics planks and bromides. Nonetheless, this so-called ethics package, and oh yes, that's the nickname that Senator Woods gave it, doubled the term limit of Arkansas representatives and nearly doubled that of senators. Many voters didn't know what they had passed until after Election Day. Not incidentally, one of his accomplices in the ethics package scheme, as well as the college kickback caper, was former Arkansas State Rep. Micah Deal. Quote, "I do know this confirms what I've always suspected about John Woods," wrote Max Brantley in the Arkansas Times. "He never had a job. He bragged about the good life he lived off state pay, per diem, travel, and the hog slopping that legislators enjoy. I should mention, too, that he was the architect of the so-called ethics amendment that provided a path to longer terms in office." Many politicians oppose term limits due to naked self-interest, but none more than the careerist criminals that consciously aim to enrich themselves at the expense of the public.